Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm and you were watching second part of What If Naruto Found a Hidden Lab in Waves. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel. Now wasting no more time, let's start the story.
The Mindscape of Naruto. When Naruto regained consciousness, he felt gentle fingers stroking his hair. Naruto eventually realized where he was and noticed the man and woman who claimed to be his parents. Naruto, startled by this revelation, leapt to his feet and exclaimed, "Who are you, and why are we in a sewer?" The man with blonde hair spoke calmly. "Everything will be fine, Naruto. Give us a chance and we'll explain everything. Why should I even listen to you? I know exactly who you are, you're that cretinous fourth Hokage. It's because of you that I'm one of the most despised people in the village. Do you know what it's like to walk down the street of your village with people constantly yelling and screaming at you? To have almost every store in the village refuse to sell you something and to have angry mobs chase you down to beat you unconscious, only to wake up to, you put that inside of me and left me with no one to take care of me and to not even know why I'm hated for 12 years. No, you no longer deserve to call yourself a father, if you really are my father." The only thing either parent could do was hang their heads in shame. "And who are you supposed to be?" Naruto inquired of the redhead. The woman was crying as she looked at Naruto. "I'm Kushina Uzumaki, and I'm your mother. Did you help him put that thing in me?" Naruto's once warm eyes turned ice blue.
Kushina was powerless to do anything but nod.
"I begged him to seal the Kyuubi back into me, but I was already weak from having you, not to mention the damage done to me from the previous attack." She got down on her hands and knees, her forehead touching the floor. "Please forgive me, Naruto. All I ever wanted was for you to be happy. I knew the village would never accept you, which is why I wanted the fox to go back inside of me, but we were out of time, and only an Uzumaki can contain the 9 tails. We made a mistake. We wanted the village to see you as a hero, but as you said, the villagers never did." Naruto approached her slowly, bent down, and placed his hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up at him before wrapping her in a hug. He began to cry into her shoulder as he began to sob. Minato stood off to the side, contemplating all of his mistakes.
Before speaking, Naruto let go of the hug.
"How did you both end up here?" Kushina turned to face her husband. "Do you know how this happened?" she inquired. Minato made a shaky motion with his head. "What happened before you came in here, Naruto? Where exactly is here?" Naruto inquired. "We're inside your mind. It's a place where you can sort out your thoughts and communicate with the 9 tails, Minato explained. Naruto surveyed the sewer-like room, which had metal pipes running across the ceiling and water on the floor. "This is my mind? This is just great. Now I owe Ino 1000 ryo. She always said I must have a sewer for a brain," he joked before leaping to his feet and pouting. "It's not funny. She's always making fun of it."
"It'll be fine. Now tell us what happened," Kushina asked, and Naruto nodded before telling his parents everything about the Chunin exams, including his fight with Orochimaru in the Forest of Death, all of the preliminary round matches, how he swore to beat Neji on Hinata's blood, and how his sensei reacted when he asked for training.
"Naruto, who is your sensei?" Minato inquired, frowning. "Why, Kakashi Hatake?" Naruto inquired. Minato and Kushina are furious. "What else has he taught?" they dared to inquire. "The tree walking technique," Naruto replied before motioning for him to continue. "That's all there is to it. I always said he was unstable, Minato. Between the deaths of his teammates and father, and the way he always clung to you, you should have taken his headband." Kushina charged. "Wait a minute, you were Kakashi's sensei?" Naruto inquired. Minato gave a solemn nod. I'm sorry to say that I was. Before shaking it off, Naruto let out a growl-like sigh. Okay, let's get back to what we were talking about. After he ditched me, I had a fight with my other teammate, so I decided to get some fresh air and train in a place where I could have peace, so I asked the Hokage if I could come to the Land of Waves. During my mission here weeks ago, I found some strange building in the forest, so I decided to come here and see what was in it. Kushina sighed and pinched her nose. Naruto, you were incredibly reckless. You had no idea what was going to happen, or what could have happened, she reprimanded. I know, Mom, but I really didn't have much of a choice, Naruto shrugged. Minato realized this by snapping his fingers. I think I figured it out. This serum was supposed to strengthen your soul, and when I sealed the 9 tails in you, I put a sliver of my and your mother's souls into the seal to help you in the future if the fox ever got out of control, and I believe it increased the strength of our souls as well. Naruto blinked, taken aback by the theory. How long do you think it'll last? He inquired. I'm not sure, we were supposed to have a few minutes, but if this serum has increased the strength of the souls, it's impossible to tell, Minato explained. Kushina drew Naruto into a bear hug. I don't care. I'm just happy to spend time with my son. We'll figure it out later. Maybe this Mayuri can help us if he's dealt with souls. Naruto abruptly began to vanish. What's going on? Don't worry, you're just waking up, Minato said. How do I get back to see you? Naruto inquired. Just clear your mind. Remember, we will always love you, Kushina said. Wave Country, Mayuri's Bunker, July 13, 9:33 a.m. Naruto regained consciousness, sat up on the table, and looked patiently to his right at Nemu. Are you all right, Naruto-kun? She inquired. Yeah, I'm fine, Naruto said as he rose to his feet. That's good to hear, Nemu said, nodding with her tiny smile. So, Nemu, how did it go? Did the serum work? Naruto asked as he put his clothes back on. We'll have to run a few tests. If you don't mind waiting, I'll go get the equipment ready, Nemu said, walking over to some machines. Naruto thought to himself as she did this. Was it all a nightmare? It wasn't a dream, Naruto-chan, Kushina said abruptly. Naruto jumped in surprise and quickly looked left and right, but there was no explanation for the unexpected intrusion. What's going on, Mom? He asked, perplexed. It's all right, Naruto, your mother and I were able to tweak the seal, and now we can communicate with you. All you have to do is think about what you want to say, Minato said. Please tell me you can't look outside because having my parents stuck inside my head will be extremely embarrassing. I'm never going to get away with anything, Naruto grumbled. Don't worry about that, Naruto. Your mother was quite the tyrant growing up. One of her monikers was the Crimson Maelstrom, because if anyone ever made fun of her red hair, she usually caused collateral damage. Case in point, she once destroyed an entire dumpling restaurant when the owner said she was eating like a pig and told her to get out. It took 2 full squads of Anbu Black Ops, our entire graduating class, and the promise of. That's good to hear. Remind me to tell you everything I did, Naruto replied with a smile. No need for that, Naruto. We can just scan your memories. Technically, we are inside your mind, Kushina explained. Fine. Just don't go snooping too much. There are some things I still don't want you to know, Naruto said. You mean like this crush you're developing on a girl named Hinata? Joked Kushina. Okay. I've got to find a way to get you out of my head, Naruto said, his cheeks blushing. In his head, he heard his mother's laughter. What exactly is going on in there? She just found the memories about all your pranks. How could you paint the Hokage monument? Minato asked, waterfall tears streaming down his cheeks as he saw his own face vandalized. Actually, that was pretty simple. The security in the village is terrible. Okay, I'm going to disconnect now because I have things to do. I'll talk to you two later. He came out of his reverie to see Nemu approaching him, carrying several instruments. How long was I sleeping, Nemu? He inquired. You were unconscious for an hour, Nemu said before setting down the instruments. This shouldn't take long, she said as she took up the first instrument and began to wave it around his body. After the third pass, it let out 3 beeps. It took her another 30 minutes to finish the process before she set everything down. You'll be relieved to know that the process was a complete success, and you should have no trouble becoming a Soul Reaper, she declared. Thank you, Nemu, Naruto smiled as he walked over to the central computer. Tell me something, Mayuri, you said you downloaded all my memories when I put the helmet on, right? He speculated. That is correct, Naruto, Mayuri said as her face appeared on the screen. Are you aware that I have a demon within me? Yes, I am. Well, it turns out that it was my father who put it inside me, but when he put it in the seal, he put a fragment of his and my mother's souls inside of it to help me battle the fox if it ever gets out of control, Naruto explained. Mayuri developed a curious expression. And now I find out that the serum that was injected into me not only boosted my soul, but it also strengthened their souls, and I now have both my mother and father's souls inside my head. That is quite interesting, Mayuri said, nodding and humming. Do you happen to know how to get the souls out? Naruto inquired. What do you think I am, an uneducated buffoon? Extracting the souls will be simple. I believe you are vastly underestimating my abilities. All you need to do is find 2 cylinders to put them in, Mayuri said after his mini tirade. Naruto chuckled slightly. Even though he was a computer echo, he was still Mayuri. Do they have to be a specific type? He inquired. No, as long as it's not a living item. I once saw someone put a mod soul in a stuffed animal, and the results were odd, to say the least, Mayuri said. That's encouraging. When will you be able to do it? Naruto inquired. As long as you can find 2 items to put the souls in, I should be able to get the machine working by tomorrow morning, Mayuri reminded. Naruto nodded and looked at the clock on the wall, deciding to return to the house so he could be there when the Inuzuka arrived to pick up Nariko. He knew she'd be nervous and wanted him to be there to help her. I'm going to take the rest of the day off and let the serum work its way through my system. Nemu, you can take the rest of the day off to just relax, and I'll be back in the morning to start my training, he said, pulling a few bills from his pocket. There's a village a few miles to the west. Why don't you go have some fun? Naruto said as he handed her the money. Thank you very much, Naruto-kun, Nemu said, taking the money with a small smile. And Mayuri, I'll try to find 2 cylinders for the souls, but it's not a rush job, and I don't think having my parents make a miraculous comeback to life is a good idea, because it could cause a panic, Naruto said. Alright, I'll put it on hold until you give me the orders, Mayuri said. Tsunami's house, 11:13 a.m. Naruto waved goodbye and returned to the house in half the time it usually took to see Nariko playing with at least a dozen children in the front yard. When he noticed Tsunami and Fu sitting on the front porch watching the children play, he saw Inari run up to him. Hey, Naruto. As soon as the other kids heard this, they rushed over to Naruto and surrounded him. Hey Inari, I'm guessing these are your friends? Naruto asked, each of them smiling broadly. That's right. We were wondering if you could help us train because we want to be ninjas like you. One of the kids exclaimed. Listen to Inari, I don't mind training you, but taking on all your friends is a little too much. Besides, I would need permission from their parents, Naruto said, before Tsunami drew his attention away from the porch, waving a stack of papers. All of their parents have already sent a form stating that they would like to train with you, Tsunami said with a big smile on her face. Please, 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 you're so cool. They all exclaimed. It would be awesome to be able to perform ninja tricks. Are you going to teach me how to breathe fire like your teammate? Forget learning how to walk up trees, that was so cool. Being surrounded by children who kept asking him questions made Naruto feel a little overwhelmed. Okay, just calm down, give me a moment to get some supplies, and then I'll help you, he said, stepping inside for a second to bring out said supplies while watching the kids jump up and down in excitement. How difficult can this be? I used to help Konohamaru and his friends with their training, he thought to himself as he approached the children. Okay, kids, line up. We're going to start with physical fitness. I want 3 lines going here, here, and I want you all to do 25 push-ups. He demanded, all the kids going where he told them to go while Naruto smiled to himself. See, it's not so difficult. The mindscape of Naruto. Your child is a complete moron. He has no idea what he's getting himself into, Kyuubi explained. Before Kushina looked at Minato, all the mother and father could do was nod in agreement. I still remember the day you came home from your first day of training your team, swearing you didn't want to go back because Obito was a loud-mouthed brat, Kakashi was a jerk, Rin was a fangirl for him, Obito hated Kakashi, and the fact you had to chain the 3 of them together to make them work together was pretty funny, she laughed. And this is coming from the woman who took her 3 students and got them drunk the first night, then the 4 of you went to the hot spring and tried to look into the men's side? Minato retorted, a knowing grin on her face. Kushina's face turned bright red. I thought we agreed not to bring it up again. You're just embarrassed because you were the one who got caught, while your 3 students managed to flee, Minato explained. Minato laughed at Kushina's reaction as she turned away, her face flushed. Tizuna's backyard, 1:16 p.m. Naruto was ready to rip his hair out after 2 hours of being a sensei. If the kids weren't asking for techniques, they were trying to slack off, and a few of the girls kept getting in trouble by flirting with a few of the boys instead of doing the exercises Naruto told them to do. Eventually, a shadow clone reappeared and cancelled itself, leaving Naruto with the memories. He addressed the children while nodding to himself. Okay, that's enough. He yelled, causing the kids to stop their jumping jacks. I want 3 lines again. I put a flag half a mile down the path. I want you all to run down this route, move around the tree, and back. If I find out you cheated, you won't get any more training from me, got it? All the kids ran down the path as one. Once they were out of sight, Naruto walked up to the porch, took a glass of lemonade from the table, and sat down with the ladies. How do you think the kids are doing, Naruto? Tsunami inquired. Some of them are doing pretty well. If we keep this up, they should be fine, and I'll be able to make a legitimate training program for them, Naruto said as he sipped his lemonade and waited for the kids to return. 1:35 p.m. He stood up and walked back out to the yard as he saw the kids in the distance running to him. Naruto could tell the kids were done for the day as the last child crossed the finish line. Okay, that's enough for today. If you guys want to go up to the porch, you can have lemonade. I want you back here tomorrow at 8 o'clock sharp if you guys want to continue training, he said, and each kid smiled big, saying they'd be back before they all walked up to the porch for drinks. He wasn't paying attention to the 3 sources of noise barreling towards him because he was lost in thought, and he paid for it when he was tackled by 3 large dogs, each one licking his face as he valiantly tried to pry the 3 of them off.
He's over here,
exclaimed a familiar voice, and 3 people laughed at Naruto alongside the children and Tsunami. Please, Hana, Call them off," pleaded Naruto. "But Naruto, if you just came by the compound to see them more often, they wouldn't be so hyper," Hana countered. Okay. I'm sorry guys. I promise I'll come by more often," Naruto promised as Hana whistled, her 3 companions backing up to allow Naruto to stand. He lightly pouted while wiping his face to remove the saliva. "I don't understand why they're so hyper. It hasn't been that long since I've seen them," he commented, to which he received 3 barks, which he sort of understood. "Yes, I've missed you guys as well," he said as he scratched their heads and a white puppy jumped into his arms. "How's it going, Akamaru?" He scratched the puppy's head behind his ears as it barked before putting him down. "So, do you want to talk now or meet her first?" he asked the 3 Inuzuka. "Let's talk first," Sume suggested. Naruto nodded and led them over to some trees, where he spent the next few minutes explaining everything he knew about Noriko. How he found her, what she and Tsunami told him, and his own observations of her since she awoke. Sume and Hana both encircled Naruto in a hug after listening to everything. "Every time we think you're done surprising us, you do something like this. Don't worry, she'd be welcome to the main family," Sume said, proud of him. "Are you saying you're going to adopt her?" Naruto inquired, surprised. "That's right, we talked about it on the way here. I've always wanted another kid in the house," Sume said, his trademark Inuzuka grin matching Naruto's own foxy grin. "Kiba, I've always wanted a younger sibling, not that you don't count, Naruto. You know you're as much a part of this family as we are," Hana, one of the more reserved and normal Inuzuka, said with a kind smile. "I know, that's why I sent that letter to you directly instead of the old man," Naruto said, getting 3 affirmatives before leading them back to the house and into the living room, where Fu, Inari, and Noriko were playing cards. Tsunami was off to the side reading a book, and the 3 kids looked up to see Naruto and 3 new people. "I'd like to introduce you to Sume, the head of the Inuzuka clan, as well as her daughter Hana and son Kiba," he said. Tsunami set the book down and stood up, slipping into the gracious hostess role she seemed to enjoy. "Greetings, my name is Tsunami, and this is my son Inari," she said. The only teen girl in the group jumped up and smiled. "And my name is Fu." Noriko approached Naruto slowly, and he placed a hand on her shoulder. "It'll be fine," he assured her gently. Noriko only said one thing to the 3 Inuzukas. "Are you really my family?" she inquired, almost fearfully. Sume knelt and placed her hands on Noriko's shoulders. "That's right, you're a member of this family, and nothing will ever change that. If you want, you can come live with us 3. You'll have a big sister and a big brother, and I'll become your new mother," she explained. Noriko lunged forward to hug Sume, tears welling up in her eyes. "Please, yes." Naruto remained silent for a few moments before speaking up. "Alright. Let's talk for a minute, and Noriko, just so you know, Hana came with her partners, who are some of the biggest dogs you'll ever meet." Noriko looked at Hana quickly and ran up to her, hands clasped together, jumping in place, excited. "Can I please go meet them? I love dogs, especially big ones." Hana reached down and lifted her onto her shoulders. "Of course you can, Naruto, we'll make sure to say goodbye before we leave, we'll see you in a little bit," she said as they walked outside. Tsunami approached Naruto and hugged him. "I've never been prouder of you than I am right now, you gave that little girl a new family," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. The 4 people still inside the house heard a loud squeal from outside. "Oh my goodness, they're enormous. I told her they were big," Naruto chuckled as the hug came to an end. "Is Tazuna coming home tonight, Tsunami?" he inquired. "He'll be home later tonight," Tsunami said, returning to her chair and her book. Naruto dashed up to his room, returned with his own book, and sat at the table, starting his next chapter. Tsunami raised her head from her book, intrigued. "What exactly is that book you're writing about, anyway?" Naruto smirked and scratched the back of his head with his pen. "Well, I wanted to keep it a surprise. I've never told anyone what it's about, but seeing as I'm working on the last chapter, I guess I can tell you what it's about, but you have to promise not to laugh. It's a love-adventure story called Battles of the Heart, Love or Honor. It's a story about a young man from a family of warriors who hates to fight and wants nothing more than peace and..." Naruto looked up after his synopsis to see Tsunami and Fu with their hands over their hearts and a look of love in their eyes. "Naruto, when you finish that book, I'd like to read it," Tsunami said. "Can I read it as well?" Fu inquired. "You're both welcome to read it when it's finished, and I'm actually thinking about seeing if I can get it published back in Konoha. A lot of the women I know have said they want to read it as well," Naruto said. "Well, hopefully you'll be able to finish it before you leave," Tsunami said before returning to her book and Fu to her cards. It was time for dinner before anyone knew it, a knock at the door drawing their attention. "I'll get that. It's most likely them," Naruto said. "And we'll start dinner," Tsunami said as he followed Fu into the kitchen. Fu tilted her head as she looked at Tsunami. "What are we having for dinner today?" How does homemade ramen sound?" Tsunami inquired, smiling. "Sounds good," Fu said, smiling. Naruto stepped outside to greet Sume and company. "How did it go?" he inquired as he joined them outside. "Well, she's definitely going to fit in. Just came to tell you we're going to head home," Sume said as they walked out to the front lawn, Naruto spotting Nariko riding on the back of one of Hana's partners like a horse. "Are you having fun?" Naruto inquired, a knowing smile on his face. Nariko smiled as she turned to face Naruto. "This has been one of the best days I've ever had. Mom said she'd help me with my training, and I even got my own partner," she exclaimed. "What about the dogs that are here when we get home?" Naruto wondered, remembering her friends. "We went to talk to them, but they want to stay here. They said this is their home." "Are you going to come with us?" Nariko asked, her head tilted cutely. "I'm sorry, Nariko, but I'll be staying here until the end of the month because I have a lot of training to do, but if you behave, I'm sure your mom will take you to the fight at the end of the month," Naruto said before turning to face Sume. "I'll make sure to check in with you a few days before the fight," Sume said as he drew the blonde into a hug. "I'm supposed to pass on a message for you. The Hokage told me to tell you how proud he is of you, and just so you know, I put a reward into your bank account, and I'm not going to hear you say no. You deserve this," she said as she let go of her hug. Hana drew him into another hug before he could finish his sentence. "Thank you, little bro, we're all going to be rooting for you in the stands," she said, kissing his cheek, the blonde trying to pull himself out of the hug to wipe his cheek like a fussy toddler, Tsunami, Inari, and Fu having come out to wave goodbye. Naruto quickly shook hands with Kiba, who said, "I'll see you later, loser." He grinned and walked over to Nariko, whispering in her ear. When he was finished, he noticed Sume and remembered something before approaching her. "Before you leave, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions." Sume nodded. "I know you noticed her eyes have a yellow tint to them as well. Is that normal?" Sume paused for a moment. "I did notice, and no, it isn't. Usually. The only time I've heard of something like this happening is when one of the parents isn't an Inuzuka, but we rarely marry or have children outside the clan, and we're large enough to maintain genetic diversity." Naruto gave a nod. "My other question, which I don't think I mentioned in the letter, was her mother was one of Gado's playthings, and when we killed him, she ran away and left Nariko. But how could an Inuzuka do that? Have any Inuzuka women ever been lost on a mission?" Sume lowered her gaze to Naruto, almost glaring. It's unlikely. Even if the father was an enemy who beat and raped her, no Inuzuka woman would abandon her child. Our maternal instincts are far too strong, we'd rather die. And no Inuzuka females have been lost in my lifetime. A few have been killed, which is why I don't think her mother was an Inuzuka. Sume gave Kiba a sidelong glance. While not impossible, as even the strongest will can be broken at some point, based on what I've seen and what you told me, what most likely happened was an Inuzuka male impregnated a civilian during a mission. You know how we are, especially the men. Sume said, motioning to her son. Beyond that, I'm not sure, she says, but I was planning on getting a genetic test anyway to see if she has any close, living relatives. Naruto grinned. Which is why you keep a tight leash on him, so to speak. Thank you, and would you please let me know what you find? Naruto chuckled. Sure, since you brought her to us. Sume replied before turning to face her group. Alright pups, let's go, exclaimed Sume. Nariko smiled as she nodded at the signal to leave. Come on, big brother Kibble, let's race home, she exclaimed innocently. Sume and Hana, as well as their dogs and the trio on the porch, burst out laughing. Kiba gave Naruto the dirtiest expression he could muster. I'll reimburse you for that, he promised.
Whatever you say, Kibble, Naruto countered, his playful grin still on Kiba's face.
As the new family walked out with big smiles on their faces, Naruto went back inside, smiling when he heard they were having ramen. Later that night, as he lay in bed, the only thing on his mind was what type of cylinder he would put his parents in. It would have to be inconspicuous, can't raise suspicion, he told himself before dozing off. Tsunami's house, 7:40 a.m. on July 14th. Tazuna and Tsunami were both startled awake by a loud scream coming from Inari's bedroom. As they rushed out of their rooms, they noticed Naruto exiting Inari's room with an empty bucket and a grin. You have 20 minutes to get outside or I'll toss you into the ocean, he called back, before seeing their expressions. He wants to be a ninja? Well, we're up at the crack of dawn for our training, and I've already started on a pot of coffee for you both, he said as he led Tazuna and Tsunami downstairs. Tsunami shook her head as she walked into Fu's room. She can sleep through anything. Naruto was out on the front lawn, looking at a watch he brought with him, looking up to see Inari running to stand in front of him, the other children joining them just as Hurricane Naruto was about to descend, saving their young, innocent lives. You know the drill, line up. Today, we'll be focusing on a technique known as the leaf exercise. It's one of the most basic chakra techniques taught in the academy, and it'll help you unlock your chakra. I want each of you to go get a leaf from the trees, come back, and sit down, he demanded, the lot of them making their way to the trees, Naruto falling into his explanation of the exercise. Unbeknownst to them, the Naruto in front of them was a shadow clone. Mayuri's bunker and lab. Naruto entered to find Nemu sweeping the floor, the lieutenant turning to greet him as the door opened. How did your night go, Nemu? He inquired. It was very nice. I was able to pick up a few books and other supplies from the village, Nemu said. That's good to hear, Naruto said, pleased that she was acting on her own initiative rather than following orders, before proceeding to the central computer to enter a series of keys. The machine in the middle of the room began to rumble, its many functions activated, before the door opened, revealing Yoruichi standing there in the smoke. She walked out, smirking. I take it you're the new boss? She asked, her yellow eyes twinkling with mischief. That's correct, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, but you can just call me Naruto, and I hear you're the person to talk to about hand-to-hand combat, he said as he quickly examined her. Her photo did not do her justice. She was only a few inches taller than him, but she had beautiful, purple hair in a high ponytail to her waist. Like a mix of Ino and Anko, that almost made him shudder. She had light brown skin, yellow eyes, black kunoichi sandals, black stretch pants with a beige sash belt, a black undershirt that was probably sleeveless and a short-sleeved, orange overshirt with 2 white stripes at the shoulders. Yoruichi's grin widened. She'd seen him give her a once-over and that he lingered briefly on her chest, which she'd bring up later to tease him as he seemed to be the fun type who'd let her be herself, even though she knew she had to obey any order he gave her, but now wasn't the time for that, she was obviously here for a job. Then I'm the best you'll ever get, because I never back down from a challenge, Naruto declared. Let's find a training room and get started, Yoruichi suggested. Mayuri's bunker, Training Room 4, July 14, 7:45 a.m. Naruto led Yoruichi to the training rooms, of which he discovered 5, the largest of which was Room 4. Mostly because Room 5 was locked and he had no idea how to open it. When they entered the room, it was already in use. He led her down what appeared to be a path through the dense woods to the training area, a large clearing with scattered trees, wildlife, and an artificial sky that looked exactly like their real-world counterparts. Isn't it pretty impressive? I've built several of these through the confines of the bunker, Yoruichi said, proud of her work. A stunned Naruto absent-mindedly observed the new training grounds' possibilities. So, Fishcake, what do you need help with? Yoruichi asked, smirking. Naruto awoke from his trance and mumbled a few compliments that would have made Enko blush. In a little over a month, I'll be fighting in a tournament. My opponent's name is Neji Hyuga, and he specializes in hand-to-hand combat and has a unique ability to see 360 degrees and chakra points, Naruto explained. Yoruichi let out a low whistle at what appeared to be a simple ability. That would be a useful skill to have, so tell me why you want to beat him so badly? She inquired. His usual playful expression was replaced by a solemn one. Naruto raised his head to look at her. You are from a prestigious family, according to the computer data, he said, seemingly off-topic. That's right, and I'm the head of one of the 4 noble houses. Does that have anything to do with this? She inquired, trailing him as he sat down on a rock and told her everything that had happened with Hinata and her cousin. She scowled, her brow furrowed in rage and annoyance. That's why I left my family. I've always despised putting the family reputation ahead of my beliefs. My family always wanted me to be some delicate flower. They never wanted me to fight, and all they ever wanted me to do was look cute and stand there. She observed. Naruto made a shaky motion with his head. That's not entirely true. Hinata might be soft and not speak up, but she just doesn't show how strong she is. It's just that she has low self-esteem, and I could see it in her eyes when she was fighting Neji. Hinata was trying her hardest to fight him to prove that she is not a failure, and even after he had beaten her to a pulp, she still stood up and was ready to fight. If the sensei hadn't intervened. Yoruichi's only thought at the time was that this kid reminded her of Ichigo. Okay, Naruto, take a fighting stance, she said, wanting to know where they would begin. Naruto's face turned into that of a raging demon as she did so. Who the hell taught you that stance, because whoever taught it was trying to kill you. There are more holes in that stance than I can count. She exclaimed. I should have guessed, the teachers at the academy didn't teach me the right style, Naruto grumbled. The mindscape of Naruto. As Minato approached her, Kushina was off to the side, rummaging through all of Naruto's memories, muttering every profanity under the sun. What are you up to now? He inquired. I'm searching all of his academy memories for the teachers who trained my Naru-chan incorrectly so that when we get out of the seal I can show them what happens when you mess with my family, Kushina replied, scribbling names and descriptions in a notepad. Minato took a slow step away. He'd seen that look on her face before. It usually meant that someone was going to the hospital. If they were lucky, and the irony was that he didn't feel sorry for any of the teachers. He had already planned what he was going to do to Kakashi when he got his hands on him, assuming he was still alive after his wife had finished with him. Training Area 4. Alright, this is what we're going to do. I want you to come at me with everything you've got, and we'll start on your new style once I've figured out what you're capable of, Yoruichi said. Naruto collapsed on the ground, panting heavily and exhausted for the first time, as Yoruichi stood over him, arms crossed. I'll give you this, Naruto, you have some pretty ridiculous stamina, she said. Naruto smiled up at her and let out a chuckle. Well, I wouldn't be the pranking demon of Konoha if I couldn't outrun the Anbu and Jonin, he said as Yoruichi wrapped her arms around his shoulders. Does that stamina transfer to other areas? Yoruichi asked, a sly grin on his face. Naruto's face turned bright red in an instant. How would I know? He exclaimed. Both Kushina and Minato burst out laughing inside the seal at Naruto and the situation he was in, just as Yoruichi placed a small kiss on his cheek. Well, we can always find out if you're interested, she said, releasing her grip on his shoulders as she noticed blood dripping from his nose. Now, follow me, she said as she led him to a hot spring. The hot spring has healing properties and will help you regenerate your strength, she explained. Naruto tested the temperature of the water with his hand and found it to be just right, so he quickly stripped down to his boxers and jumped into the water up to his neck. Man, you weren't kidding, this water feels fantastic, he sighed contentedly. Well, I'm glad you like it, and I hope it's okay if I join you, Yoruichi said. What do you mean, you can't join me? Naruto nearly screamed, starting to panic as he saw her begin to undress. In response, he quickly covered his eyes with his hands. Suddenly feeling the water ripple, he peeked through his fingers, but instead of seeing Yoruichi, he opened his eyes to see a black cat swimming around in the water. How the hell did you turn into a cat? He demanded, pointing accusingly. Naruto received a cat equivalent of an amused look from the cat. You didn't think I'd get in the water in my human form, did you? Man, you're a little pervert, she said, her voice now more masculine. I am not a pervert. You're the one who got into a hot spring with a 12-year-old boy, so if anyone here is a pervert, it's you. Naruto charged, even though a part of him wished she was human. Yes, that may be true, but you are the one who stripped down to his boxers in front of a lady of high society, and technically speaking, if the laws of this land are the same as mine, we would have to marry, Yoruichi stated. Naruto passed out as a result. Naruto looked around after returning to the land of the living to find himself laying on a table in the lab. He sat up and looked around when he heard the door open. He hopped off the table after seeing Nemu to his left. How long was I gone, Nemu? He inquired. You were unconscious for about 3 hours, and I was just getting more of the living quarters ready in case you decide to create bodies for more people. Right now, only Yoruichi-sama is staying here, but we will need more rooms ready just in case, Nemu replied. That's good to know, thank you. Naruto suddenly realized what she had said and narrowed his eyes at her. Then where are you going to stay? He asked slowly, almost growling. He quickly scanned his surroundings and noticed a small cot in the far corner, which he quickly approached and discovered a bundle of clothes and a few other items underneath. Explain to me what this is, Nemu, he demanded, something he never thought he'd say. Nemu lowered his gaze, not meeting his gaze. I sleep here at night or when I'm not needed, Naruto-kun, she explained. Naruto sighed deeply and rested his hand on his brow. Nemu, don't you remember what I said the first time we met? I told you I don't want an obedient servant, I told you to be yourself, and if you wanted something, all you had to do was ask. Now technically, since I'm the boss, I'm going to give you a direct order. You are to get all of your belongings and move into one of the spare rooms, and you are to customize it to your own liking, do you understand? He asked. Nemu smiled a small smile. Yes. Thank you very much, Naruto-kun. I have never been given my own room. My past self had to constantly follow orders. I was never given anything unless it was mandatory, she explained. Naruto encircled her in a hug. Things will be different this time. You can be your own self. Hell, if you want to, you can just leave and not have to return. You can go out and live your own life, he said. Nemu almost frantically shook her head. Please don't send me away, she pleaded. You don't have to worry about that, Nemu. If you really want to stay, I'll never send you away. You're my friend, and friends never do that, Naruto said as he let go of the hug and took a step back. Now, I've got a few things I want you to do tonight for me after you get your new room ready, he asked. Nemu smiled slightly and wiped her tears away before nodding. I want you to keep making that compound that makes a soul reaper because I have a feeling I'm going to need more of it, he said. Nemu simply nodded. I'll make as much as I can, she promised. Naruto suddenly remembered the clones he had left to teach the children, seeing that many of them had completed the leaf exercise. Recognizing that the kids were becoming too distracted outside, he paused for a moment before snapping his fingers at a new idea. I'd like you to turn one of the rooms into a classroom with about 20 seats and a chalkboard if you can find one. I just wish I had more copies of the books I brought with me. He sighed. If you like, Naruto-kun, you can give me the books and I'll make you copies, Nemu said. How are you going to do that, Nemu? Naruto wondered, puzzled. I can just run it through one of the copy machines and make as many as you need, Nemu explained. That's good to know. I'll send a clone back with a few books, and I'd like you to make a copy of each book for each student, Naruto explained. I don't see why not. We have plenty of materials here, Nemu replied. Once you're finished, you can have the rest of the day to yourself. I'll be back with the students early tomorrow, okay? Now that we've settled that, where did Yoruichi go? Naruto wondered. I'll be right here, Naruto-kun, Yoruichi said, leaping onto his left shoulder. I'm not sure why you're in that form, Naruto observed. I just prefer to use this form, but don't worry, my dear Naruto-kun, I'll be in my human form on our wedding night, Yoruichi assured him with a sly smirk and a leer in her eyes. Could you please stop teasing me about that? Naruto begged, his face flushed. No can do, and after seeing all that stamina in training, I'm quite curious to see the full extent of it, Yoruichi said. But I can't marry you because I'm starting to like this one girl back in my home village. She's sweet and kind, and we both believe the same things, Naruto replied. Oh, don't worry about that, Naruto-kun, I don't mind sharing, Yoruichi reassured him once more. I can't believe my little Naruto-chan is marrying, exclaimed Kushina inside Naruto's head. Naruto hung his head in shame. Mom, don't you start, too. He grumbled. Naruto-chan, ask her how many grandbabies she's going to give me, exclaimed Kushina, jumping up and down. Cut it out, Mom. Could you please make her stop, Dad? Naruto pleaded. Sorry, Naruto, but once your mother gets something stuck in her head, she won't stop until she gets what she wants, Minato explained. Naruto sighed deeply, clearly outnumbered and alone. Whatever, we'll figure it out later. I'll see you in the morning, Nemu. My clone should be here within the hour to give you the books. Please enjoy the rest of the day, he said. Naruto decided to go to the one place he had wanted to go since he arrived, despite the fact that it was almost 3 o'clock. 3:07 p.m., Wave Country, mountain atop. He soon arrived at the cliff overlooking the village and the graves of the two people he admired and who had taught him the ninja way. He was astounded to see not only the graves, but also the ghostly forms of Zabuza and Haku standing next to them. Yoruichi, please tell me you see them, too, Naruto hoped as Zabuza and Haku turned to face him as he approached. I can, Naruto-kun. It appears that the spirits of these two have not passed on, Yoruichi said. Naruto approached the two spirits, his face expressionless. Hey, it's good to see both of you again, he said nervously. Zabuza drew his arms across his chest. If it's not the blonde brat, I almost didn't recognize you without that hideous orange jumpsuit, he said. Haku was wearing a small smile on her face. Please ignore him, Naruto-kun. He's just been grumpy since we woke up like this, she apologized. Naruto laughed quietly to himself. When was he not grumpy? He jokingly asked. Zabuza muttered something about blonde-haired brats and no respect to himself. So, aside from bothering Mr. Grumpy Pants over there, how long have the two of you been here? Naruto inquired, beginning to relax. We appeared here a few days after we died, but you're the first person who's ever been able to see and talk to us. How is that even possible, Naruto, and what's the talking cat on your shoulder? Haku inquired, his head tilted almost cutely. With a nod, Naruto filled them in on everything that had happened since the battle on the bridge. They were understandably enraged. I really wish I had killed Kakashi when I had the chance, Zabuza said. I'm sorry to hear that, Naruto-kun, Haku said. It's okay, let's not talk about the past. Suddenly, a new thought entered Naruto's mind as a piece of information from his conversation with Mayuri came to him.
Would you take it if I gave you both a new body?
He asked. Brat, if you can give me a new body, I'd teach you every jutsu I have in my arsenal, Zabuza said, almost giggling at the prospect of a new body, which was unlikely unless he had some crazy kinjutsu. I'd appreciate it, Naruto-kun, but how are you going to do it? Haku inquired politely. You just leave that to me. I can't do it tonight, but I would gladly do it for you tomorrow, Naruto said before turning to face Yoruichi. Would you please take them back to the lab for me and inform Mayuri? See if he can do the same thing with them that he says he'll do with my parents, he'll understand what you mean? He asked. I'll be glad to do that for you, Naruto-kun, Yoruichi said, leaping from his shoulder before suddenly glowing. When the light faded, she was standing naked in her human form, Naruto's face flushed, and Zabuza was speechless. Naruto quickly removed his coat and handed it to her. After putting it on and turning to face back, she paused and smirked over her shoulder. Are you sure you don't want to see me again? She inquired. Naruto grabbed his nose bridge. Just go already, he yelled exasperatedly. Haku approached Zabuza after seeing him fall to the ground laughing. Act your age, Zabuza, she said, crossing her arms and tapping her foot as she looked down at him. Despite the fact that they were spirits and she no longer saw herself as a tool, she still referred to him as her sensei. But she was at least trying to civilize him, especially since it appeared they were going to get new bodies and she wanted everyone to like and respect them, which meant Zabuza had to start acting like a proper shinobi. As well as her surrogate father, to a lesser extent. The look on Haku's face sent shivers down Naruto's spine. Dad, I made a decision. He reflected, Haku had clearly found herself thanks to him. And what would that be? Minato wondered. Women are definitely terrifying, alive or dead, Naruto replied quietly. And you better believe it, Naruto-chan. Kushina jumped in, femininely patting her flexed bicep, Minato backing away slightly as. Memories, painful memories. Memories of ramen. Let me give you some wise words that my father gave to me. A happy wife is a happy life, Minato told Naruto, his first real lesson as a parent. Alright, so it's set, you two go with her to the lab, and I'll see both of you in the morning, Naruto said with a clap of his hands, receiving 2 nods of approval. Yoruichi walked over to Zabuza's sword and effortlessly swung it over her shoulder. She returned to Naruto and kissed him on the lips quickly. "I'll come find you when I'm finished, Naruto-kun," she promised. For a moment, Naruto looked out over the village and thought to himself, "This is becoming far too complicated. At this rate, I'm going to end up with a slew of fangirls. Between her and the girls in this village, who have started staring at me, I'm beginning to resemble Sasuke Teme. I'm guessing you don't know how to get rid of them, Dad?" he inquired. "Well, in my entire life, I've only ever found 2 ways to get rid of them. Your first option is to accept them and have some fun," Minato began. Naruto heard his father scream in agony before his mother intervened. "Now you listen to me, Naruto-chan, don't you dare let me catch you doing that. As for getting rid of the fangirls, all you need to do is find yourself a strong woman to scare them off, and personally, I wouldn't mind seeing you with a few lovely women, that way I can get lots and lots of grandbabies to spoil." Kushina gushed again. Tsunami's house, 3:31 p.m. He returned to the house, ignoring both of his parents, and discovered nearly 24 children laying around the front yard, clearly exhausted. "How do you kids like the training?" he asked, smirking. Inari leapt to his feet and pointed at Naruto. "You're evil," he exclaimed. Naruto could only burst out laughing. "You think I'm evil? You should have met my teachers." He laughed. Coming down from his rage, he noticed all of the kids sitting up. "Now, is there anyone here who wants to stop training?" he asked, to which all the kids nodded. "No? Good. If that's the case, I want everyone back here tomorrow at 8 a.m., and bring a lunch, because I've got a surprise for everyone," he said. "Yes, sensei," exclaimed all the kids as they walked home. "Could you please inform my mother that I will be walking Kaori-chan home?" Inari inquired. "No problem. I'll make sure to tell her you're walking your girlfriend home," Naruto said, smiling and giving him a thumbs up. "She is not my friend." Inari denied it. "Sure, whatever you say, but if she isn't, why are you holding her hand?" Naruto mentioned it. "Come on. Let's get out of here, Kaori-chan," Inari said, his face flushed. "This is going to be fun. I think Ino rubbing Chan's off on me, now I'm starting to play matchmaker," Naruto thought as both children quickly retreated. Shaking his head, he returned inside and saw Tazuna and Tsunami on the couch, looking over some papers. "Oh, Naruto, welcome back. How is your training going?" Tsunami said when she and Tazuna noticed him. "It's going very well, but I still want to talk to you about something, Tazuna," Naruto said. "No problem, these are just a few formalities. Let's go into my office and talk," Tazuna said, rising to lead Naruto. "Oh, before I forget Tsunami, Inari is going to walk Kaori home," Naruto said, then nodded and smirked. "So Naruto, my boy, what do you want to talk about?" Tazuna asked once Naruto and Tazuna were in the office. He inquired. "Well, since you're now the leader of Wave Country, I thought I should inform you that I discovered the rumored ghost structures and tell you about them." "Did you actually find them?" Tazuna inquired, a shocked expression on his face. "Yeah, it took me a while to find them, but I did. Once inside, I discovered the building's true origins. It was built by a man named Mayuri Kuretsuchi, who arrived in this world from another dimension. He built it to study our world, but he also used it as a fail-safe for his world in case something happened to it. He left a lot of valuable equipment in that building, which brings me to the point I wanted to make. I'm sure you've noticed by now, but I left a clone to train the children of the village," Naruto explained. "I have, and I have noticed that they are quite pleased with it," Tazuna said. "Yeah, so, seeing as he left all this equipment, what I propose is we make it an academy to train the people of this country to defend itself. It would imply that you are a minor ninja village. This could bring in more money for your country by accepting missions from other countries. You would have a small force to defend yourself should enemies try to attack your country, and you wouldn't have to worry about teachers because of Mayuri. He left a machine with soul fragments of very powerful people who could become the country's teachers and primary protectors, Naruto assured him. How would I know that these people would actually protect my country and not enslave us? Tizuna inquired. Because I was messing around inside the lab and, not knowing what I was doing, I activated a machine that made me the boss, so they have to listen to me and do what I say. If I gave them a direct order to listen to you, they'd have to follow your lead, Naruto explained. I see. You made some valid points, and I've noticed that the kids enjoy training with you. It would be nice to have someone to defend us if we were attacked, but are you certain these people are powerful enough to do so? Tizuna inquired. You won't have to worry about that, Tizuna-san. Some of the people in that machine have the power to reshape entire continents, so you'll be fine. Tizuna looked out the window and noticed a black cat. Naruto, please tell me that cat didn't just talk, he said. Actually, Tizuna, she did, and I'd like you to meet Yoruichi. She prefers cat form, but she can also transform into a human. She's been assisting me in my hand-to-hand combat, Naruto stated. Okay. In light of this, I will present your proposal to the village at a meeting tonight. I won't say anything about our protectors being from another world, just that the academy was created so that we could protect ourselves. Okay, I'll let you know in the morning. Tizuna explained. Sounds good to me, Naruto said, standing up and shaking hands. Just so you know, I'm thinking of taking the students there in the morning so we can start the book learning, but if you decide not to go with the academy, I can just have the students here, don't want to deprive them of this new opportunity, he added. That appeals to me. I'll let you know what we decide, Tizuna said before the three of them. Yoruichi had jumped onto Naruto's shoulder. Headed out into the kitchen to see Tsunami cooking dinner at the stove. So, Tsunami, where has your shadow gone? Naruto laughed. Fu went to explore the village, Tsunami said behind her back. Let's just hope she stays out of trouble, Naruto worriedly said. Wave Village has an ice cream shop. The villagers were fleeing as quickly as they could because the restaurant was being completely destroyed by a green-haired teenage girl who was currently in the ice cream cooler eating as much ice cream as she could before suddenly stopping eating and grabbing her head. She screamed. Tsunami's residence. I'm sure she'll be fine, it's a small village, what trouble could she get into? Tsunami said, laughing. I suppose you're correct. So, when is dinner going to be ready? Naruto inquired. Not for very long. Why don't you go set the table, father? Tsunami inquired. Tizuna pouted and muttered something under his breath that no one could understand. What did you say? Tsunami asked sweetly, the threatening aura around her starkly contrasted. While this was going on, Naruto ran up to his room and grabbed all of his books, giving them all to a clone to send to Nemu, and deciding to finish his book because he had time. Tsunami called him down for dinner about 20 minutes later. So, Inari, did your girlfriend give you a goodnight kiss? Naruto asked as he entered the dining room to see Tsunami, Tizuna, and Inari who had just returned home. He inquired, a broad grin on his face. Stop talking, Naruto, she's not my girlfriend. Inari denied it, making both mother and grandfather laugh. Naruto-kun, could I please get a small bowl of milk? Yoruichi jumped off Naruto's shoulder onto the table. She inquired. That cat just talked. Exclaimed Inari, leaping to his feet. He exclaimed, surprised. Yeah, it surprised me as well, Naruto chuckled. The diners in the dining room were startled to hear a pounding at the front door. Naruto and Tazuna went to see who it was and discovered 4 men standing there, 2 of them holding Fu by the arms, the girl looking embarrassed and sick. What exactly is going on here? Tazuna inquired, perplexed. We found this young lady trashing the ice cream shop. We asked around, and everyone said she's staying with you, one of the men explained. Suddenly, Fu broke free and ran over to a bush, vomiting into it for a few minutes before passing out. Naruto walked over to pick her up, saying he would put her in bed. Once inside, he heard her talking in her sleep. I am never eating ice cream again. She whined almost like a puppy. We've got to keep a closer eye on her now, she just trashed the ice cream shop, Naruto said as he passed the dining room. Could you please get me a wet washcloth and assist me in cleaning her up? He inquired. Alright, go up to your room, and I'll get the supplies, Tsunami said. Naruto was sitting at his desk in his room, closing his book with a satisfied smile after everything had finally settled down for the night. I'm pleased with how it turned out, he said. Naruto-chan, I spent some time looking over the book, and I'm also pleased with how it turned out. I'm sure it'll be very popular with women and young girls, Kushina said, smiling. I'll see what I can do about getting it published, Naruto said aloud, given that everyone else was either asleep or out of the house by this point. I'm sorry to disturb you so late, and I know I said I'd tell you in the morning, but I figured you'd like to know as soon as possible, Tazuna said as he knocked on Naruto's door. The meeting went well, and we decided to pursue your idea of establishing an academy. We'd also like to know if any of the adults can join the academy, he added. I don't see why not, but we can sort all this out later. Have a good night, I'll see you in the morning, Naruto said as he decided to retire for the evening. Despite his protests, Yoruichi made his chest her pillow, which he decided to just let her do before going to sleep. Waking up bright and early the next morning, he walked down the stairs to see Inari at the table, before grabbing a few pieces of toast. He inquired. Of course I am. I'm going to work really hard so that one day I can kick your butt, declared Inari. Of course you will. Have you prepared your lunch? Naruto inquired. Yep. Inari said before turning to face his mother for a quick hug before they both stepped out onto the front lawn to see all of the children from yesterday. Did you guys bring your lunches like you were supposed to? Naruto inquired, a grin on his face. Certainly, sensei. Alright, then, follow me. Naruto led the way to the lab in the forest, with all of the children staring at it in awe. Good morning Naruto-kun, I was able to do everything you asked for last night, Nemu greeted them. I'll show you to the classroom if you follow me, she said, leading the way. Walking into the new classroom, Naruto noticed several desks and a large chalkboard on the far wall. It's just like the academy in Konoha, he thought, quickly creating a shadow clone. Okay kids, you're to listen to this clone and do as he says. Do you understand what I mean when I say that if you misbehave, you'll be thrown out? He inquired. Certainly, sensei. Good, have fun, Naruto said with a smirk, which his clone shared before leaving. So, Naruto-kun, what are we going to do today? Yoruichi, in her human form, appeared from wherever she went when she wasn't teasing Naruto, following him to the central lab. She inquired. I want to get my Zanpakuto, Naruto said quietly, walking over to the machine that he had been told could get him his sword, a small screen with Mayuri's face appearing on the side. I see you've decided to get a Zanpakuto, Mayuri observed. That's right, so how do I work this machine? Naruto inquired.
It's quite easily done. All you need to do is put one of the blank swords in the cabinet to your left in the slot in the middle of the machine, then you put as much of your spirit energy as you can into it, then you will be pulled into the sword. There, you'll meet the spirit of your sword, and if it thinks you're worthy, you'll be able to wield it, Mayuri explained.
He did as he was told and placed his hand on the sword. "Well, here goes nothing," he muttered, pouring all of his spiritual energy into it. Then his entire world went black for a few seconds before he found himself standing on a large ocean with no land in sight, the sky full of stars and the greatest full moon he had ever seen. "So, you've been chosen to wield my power." A small girl's voice caught Naruto's attention, causing him to spin around to see a young girl dressed in a blue yukata with silver stars printed on it. "Can you tell me who you are?" Naruto inquired. "My name is..." The girl was cut off by silence. It wasn't so much that she stopped speaking as a tangible nothing asserted itself when she tried to say her name. I can't hear your name, Loli-chan. Could you please speak louder for me?" After a brief but endearing tantrum, the lowly spirit finally responded, "I'm not a lowly, Kami, damn it. And all I need is for you to answer a question in order for me to be worthy of your power. In order for you to be worthy of my power, you must answer one question. What is power?" The unknown Zanpakuto spirit was questioned. Naruto replied solemnly, without batting an eyelid. "I believe that power is the strength required to protect your precious people at any cost, including your life. And I never break my word. It's the ninja way." The Zanpakuto spirit questioned Naruto after a few moments of thought. "Is this your last response, young one?" "It is, indeed." Naruto replied, and his eyes widened when he saw the spirit nod in approval. "Interesting. It appears your soul is pure, and your response is genuine. I'll let you use my power." Naruto. The spirit of Zanpakuto responded. "What? That's exactly how it is." Naruto was completely taken aback by the seemingly simple test. He remembered from the data download that the trials to unlock their Zanpakuto were long and dangerous, and this was far too simple. "Please allow me to finish, Naruto." Naruto's jaw tightened as he waited for her to finish her explanation. "My name is Luneta, and I am the princess of Zanpakuto." Naruto regained his composure and asked Luneta if she was related to Benihime, to which she replied that Benihime was only a princess in name and was actually the daughter of one of her family's servants, with no political power in her society. Confounded, Naruto questioned Luneta about why the Zanpakutos had never revealed this information. Luneta has just responded, "The Shinigami thought they understood our abilities, but they had only scratched the surface. For thousands of years, Shinigami believed they were superior, treating Zanpakuto as mere tools rather than comrades. This is why we never revealed our society to the Shinigami." Naruto digested the new information provided by Luneta, his mind picking apart Luneta's statements as he realized his Zanpakuto was the princess of the Zanpakuto. His eyes widened as he caught sight of Luneta's smiling face, which gently smiled when she saw that he had finally realized her social standing. "Now, Naruto, please keep that in mind if you use my powers for evil. You will face my father, Varanastra, the Zanpakuto king, as he drowns you in the never-ending tides of his rage." With an all-too-innocent smile on her face, Luneta warned. "Also, Naruto, because you passed my challenge, I'll show you a glimpse of my true power." Naruto noticed the water beneath him swirling and splashing as Luneta spoke. The small disturbance in the water gradually grew into a terrifying hurricane that seemed to swallow the surrounding water to expand its massive size. As the powerful storm washed Naruto away, his consciousness slowly faded. Back in the laboratory. In real life. The occupants of the room were taken aback when Naruto's eyes opened. His subsequent power boost astounded the chamber's occupants as he exclaimed with all his might. "Bring them out, Luneta." Nemu and Yoruichi were temporarily blinded by a massive explosion of light. Naruto could be seen wielding two beautiful extended butterfly swords that seemed to glow with barely restrained power after the two women recovered from the dazzling light show. "Have you finally found your Zanpakuto?" Yoruichi said with a grin. And I believe you need a private sword lesson. I have to go, see you later. Naruto spoke quickly, the words blurring together, before zipping away with a beet red face. It's still so simple to tease. Yoruichi laughed as she went about her business. After recomposing himself, Naruto channeled Ryotsu into his Zanpakuto, transforming it into its sealed form, a small tanto with a golden hilt and a crescent moon-shaped guard. I believe we should sit down for this. You won't believe what happened, Naruto stated. As the three sat down at one of the tables, Naruto glanced over at the central computer, which Mayuri had taken up to use for this conversation, as Naruto placed the sword on the table. Naruto explained what happened during his blackout. His parents agreed with his response and advised him to remember those powerful words. The events and information that occurred as a result of Naruto's encounter with his Zanpakuto surprised and intrigued Yoruichi, Nemu, and Mayuri. Mayuri's face lit up with excitement and joy at the new information in his grasp after the explanation. Would you be willing to leave your Zanpakuto here tonight so that I can run some scans on it, Naruto? I never imagined they'd have a royal family, and I'm curious to see if it has any unique properties from standard Zanpakuto. Mayuri inquired. Naruto paused for a few moments before responding to Mayuri. I can do that, but I need a report by tomorrow morning so that I can start training. If you could just put the sword on the table to your right. Naruto handed the sword to Nemu, who approached the table and activated the machine. Naruto took papers from his jacket pocket once Nemu returned to the table. I spent some time last night making a list of things I want to get done, but before we get to that, Nemu, where are the two people I brought here last night? Nemu bowed his head. I'll get them for you, Naruto-kun, Nemu stated. Naruto sighed in frustration at the honorific, but continued to prepare the soul injection chambers for the resurrection of Zabuza and Haku. Naruto led the two spirits into the laboratory after Nemu had retrieved them. Zabuza reluctantly admitted that the brat had a good setup after inspecting his high-tech surroundings. Naruto asked the two deceased shinobi if they were ready to return to the land of the living after some incomprehensible muttering. You're as ready as ever, brat. Without missing a beat, Zabuza responded. I'm prepared, Naruto-kun. Haku comforted him. All right, Naruto said as he entered the chamber. Just step into the machine and remain motionless until the door closes. Naruto pressed a few more buttons, and the device let out a high-pitched screech. After a few moments, both chambers opened to reveal two resurrected Kiri shinobi. Haku glomped Naruto without hesitation and began showering him with kisses. After a few moments, Haku stepped away from Naruto, his face flushed. Naruto stood up, his cheeks flushed, only to feel a tight pressure on his shoulder. Don't even think about it, brat. Just because you gave me a new body doesn't mean I'm going to let you experiment on my. Oof. Zabuza's threat was cut short when the person he was referring to punched him in the stomach. Stop trying to frighten everyone I talk to, Haku exclaimed, then stomped on Zabuza's stomach. But as a father figure, it's my job to scare away your potential boyfriends. Haku was stomping on Zabuza, though not particularly hard. Haku yelled, his face flushed. He's not my boyfriend. I was just thanking him for giving me a second chance in life, and if you keep acting like this, I'll report you to Mai Terumi. Please do not tell her, Zabuza begged as Haku smirked and continued to stomp him through the floor, or so it appeared. As Haku and Zabuza argued further, Naruto stood off to the side, watching the admittedly comical brawl. It was clear to him that Haku was learning how to exert herself and that Zabuza was allowing her to do so. He knew just as well as she did how tough Zabuza was. Would it be the same if I brought home my first girlfriend? Naruto confronted his parents. It would never be this bad, Naruto. I would be delighted to have your girlfriend stay with us. Minato responded. It would depend on how young you were when you brought a girlfriend home, Naru-chan. Kushina elaborated. I hope never to have a daughter who has me wrapped around her little finger. Naruto muttered something under his breath. It certainly will. His parents agreed. Naruto walked over to the table in the lab and picked up several ninjutsu scrolls, deciding to move on from watching the daughter-father beating. Because it's been so long, I might need to up my training. How are you, Dad? Naruto stated mentally. Are you sure, Naruto? Minato responded. Do shadow clones pass on their training? Naruto inquired. They can, Naruto. However, it can only transfer mental training such as chakra control, ninjutsu, genjutsu, taijutsu, and fuinjutsu, but not muscle growth. Minato responded. Naruto wished he'd brought more jutsu scrolls with him now that he knew the benefits of shadow clones. He had only brought the scrolls Akari had given him, and those scrolls had been made with kunoichi in mind. With the exception of a few locked doors, he'd explored the building, which appeared to be in good condition. Naruto had an epiphany. Perhaps I can turn a room into a hall of famous kunoichi, so that new generations can be inspired to become kunoichi and be presented here one day. One thing he knew was that kunoichi didn't get the same credit as heroes as men did, and he knew plenty of strong kunoichi. Naru-chan. That's a fantastic idea. It may assist future generations of kunoichi in learning about their sisters in arms. Kushina concurred. Mayuri, who could hear everything Naruto said, called out to him. If you require ninjutsu, I may be able to assist you. Naruto walked over to the main computer and sat. How? If you recall, I told you that I studied your dimension for years, and during that time, I went to every ninja village and made complete copies of each village's ninjutsu library, Mayuri responded. Several files appeared on the screen, each with a name, and Naruto recognized a few of them, including Konohagakure, Kumogakure, Sanagakure, Kirigakure, Iwagakure, Takigakure, Kusagakure, and finally Uzushiogakure. For some reason, the last one made Naruto nostalgic. Yes, during my studies of your dimension, I was able to visit each of the villages and observe them, but Uzushiogakure was the most appealing of all. Mayuri was now accessing and decrypting various files. However, what goes up must come down. What exactly do you mean, Mayuri? With a shiver running up his spine, Naruto inquired. Konoha betrayed Uzushiogakure, Naruto. Mayuri responded. Naruto clutched his head in agony as his parents demanded to know the dark secret of Uzushiogakure destruction. Mayuri smirked and finally decrypted the file, revealing it to be a video file titled The Death of Uzushiogakure. Beginning of video. 3 figures in robes stand guard over a small cliff, denoting a high position in Konoha's government. Are you certain about this plan, Danzo? Said the female figure on the left. This is for the best, Kaharu. Once we've defeated Uzushiogakure, we'll be able to acquire all of their sealing techniques to add to our arsenal. We are already taking steps to ensure the survival of their bloodline by bringing Kushina to the village to be the next Kyuubi Jinchuriki. Mito is a liability who must be removed, which is why we began poisoning her in order to prepare for the transfer of the Kyuubi to Kushina. Danzo stated. We will finalize the plans with the leaders of Kumogakure, Kirigakure, and Iwagakure so that we can finally get rid of this village. The other male figure said something, and all 3 of them jumped away. Video pause. Alright, someone needs to explain what is going on right now, what clan was in the hidden Whirlpool village, and why did the 3 elders of the Leaf village sell them out? Naruto inquired vehemently. The royal Uzumaki family, along with several small clans, lived among the whirlpools. They sold out so they could have control of the Nine Tails, as Mito Uzumaki planned on returning to the hidden whirlpool village and taking the Nine Tails with her to spend the rest of her days with her family. Mayuri stated. Naruto stood up, walked over to an empty table, and smashed his fist in half. I'm going to get those jerks. They'll wish they hadn't heard the name Uzumaki. When did they destroy the Uzumaki clan? During the Second Shinobi War, an attack occurred. I went there after it was destroyed, but there were no survivors. You have my condolences. I was under direct orders from my superiors not to interact with anyone in your world. I was only there to analyze and collect data. If I had been able to, I would have assisted your clan. They were truly fascinating people, Mayuri stated. Naruto remained motionless for several minutes until Yoruichi placed her hand on his shoulder. Naruto, are you all right? This is a lot to process. Yoruichi inquired gently. Purchase now. Zabuza and Haku had stopped sparring after seeing the video. Naruto turned to face Zabuza. Did you know what the hidden mist did to the Uzumaki clan? His response was a nod of the head, and Haku took a step forward, kneeling. Please accept our heartfelt condolences. Naruto, I understand that apologizing will never make up for what our village did, but I want you to know how sorry we are. Naruto starts rubbing his brow, as Kushina's screams give him a headache. I'm not a scholar, but I do know a thing or two about Cage of the Villages. I don't blame you or your village, but the people responsible are the ones in that video, and they are the ones who will pay for what they did. Yes, your village may have played a role in my family's demise, but the Hidden Mist village has paid for its sins with the blood war your village has been suffering from for so long, so attacking the Hidden Mist would be pointless. It would make me no better than them. Another fact is that during the Second Shinobi War, the Hidden Cloud village was run by a man who was a disgrace to the title of Cage. He didn't care about anything but winning the war, even if it meant sending his troops to their deaths, because most of them were so afraid of him that they couldn't refuse, so they were just following orders to protect themselves and their families. As for Iwa, I believe my father dealt with that in the Third Shinobi War, so pursuing them makes no sense either. Everyone in the lab was taken aback by Naruto's appearance. Yoruichi encircled Naruto and kissed him on the cheek. Said with the authority of a true leader. Both your mother and I are going to help you train. We will give you everything we can think of to help you get strong enough, and when the time comes, we will stand by your side and help you defeat them. Minato stated. Given that I now have a complete list of each hidden village's library, this will assist us in getting on our feet and becoming a hidden village. Unlike Konoha, I'm going to have classes that will actually help the students, rather than some nonsense like flower pressing or flower arrangement. Naruto stated. Oh crap, I hope Ino and her mom didn't hear me say that. If they did, I'm in big trouble, especially since Ino's mom is one of Konoha's top 5 scariest mothers. He then reflected. 10:03 a.m., approximately 50 yards from Konoha. As the Inuzuka family approached the village gate, they had to stop for the night to camp because Noriko couldn't travel as far as them. When can I begin the academy, Mom? Noriko inquired. Because you're only 4 years old, you'll have to wait until you're 6. Sume responded. But, Mother. What am I supposed to do when that is so far away? Noriko moaned. Hana reached out and rubbed her temples. Don't worry, Imoudo. You'll still receive clan training. We will also assist you with your history and other classes so that when you arrive at the academy, you will be prepared. Let's just hope Naruto didn't infect her and turn her into the dead last like him. Kiba said this, which earned him 2 smacks on the back of the head from his mother and sister, making Noriko laugh. Welcome to Noriko's new home. Tsume said as they walked over to the check-in point, then quickly signed in and exited the building. Mom, where are we going now? Nariko inquired. We need to check in with the Hokage because we just returned to the village. We must do this as soon as we return from a mission, Tsume stated. However, we didn't check in at the front gate. Nariko inquired, perplexed. Yes, but we need to check in multiple locations, Tsume responded. They pointed out various stores to her as they walked down the street. There's a bookstore over there where we can get you some new books. However, I'm not sure how to read Hana One-ichan, Nariko stated. Well, we can teach you one thing, Kiba stated. Okay, as long as the books are enjoyable, like Naruto book, Nizan's, which I really enjoy. He read a couple chapters to me. Nariko spoke, but she didn't notice Tsume and Hana's smiles. We'll have to remember to ask him for a copy when he's finished, Tsume stated. I've been telling him to finish it for a long time, and I'm hoping he can finish it soon, Hana stated as they continued up the street. As they walk, they point out the various restaurants. There's a dumpling restaurant over there, and Ichiraku ramen over there. Can we please have lunch there? Naruto told me all about it. He claimed that they make the best ramen in the world, Nariko exclaimed joyfully. I don't see anything wrong with that, Tsume responded by having Nariko do a cute happy dance. After we check in, we can go there for lunch, Tsume stated. When they arrived at the Hokage Tower, Tsume led her family to the top and introduced herself to the secretary. Tsume opened the door and led them in after receiving a nod from her. The third Hokage lifted his gaze from his paperwork and smiled slightly. Welcome back. I hope everything went well and you were able to safely return your new family member. Hello, Hokage-sama, everything went well, and I'd like to introduce you to our new clan member. This is Nariko. Nariko, this is Hokage-sama, he's the village leader, Tsume stated. Nariko, realizing the significance of the situation, made a small bow. Greetings Hokage-sama, I hope you will allow me to stay in your village. Hiruzen simply smiled. You are welcome in this village. If Naruto recommends you, I will believe you. As Nariko looks around the office and out the window at the village, Tsume begins to give a report. Soon after, she comes up to the pictures of the previous Hokages, and while looking at them, she notices the picture of the fourth Hokage, and she returns to her mother. Tsume paused in his speech and looked down at her. How can I assist you? Why is Naruto picture Nizan's on the wall? All three Inuzukas are looking in the direction she is pointing. I don't see a Naruto picture, Kiba chimed in. Neither do I, Hana replied. Nariko returned to the wall and pointed to the picture. See, it's Naruto Nisan, but he's missing his whisker marks in this photo. The three approach the photograph. Now that you mention it, he does have a Naruto-like appearance, Hana stated. I'm surprised we never noticed that, he has a huge head looking out over the village. Tsume said this while looking down at Nariko. This is the fourth Hokage, not Naruto, but we'll teach you a better lesson when we get home. Tsume suddenly begins to have flashbacks of a friend she had not thought about in many years, realizing that he could not be her child. Naruto was the son of her best friend Kushina Uzumaki. Hana, Kiba, I'd like you to take Nariko and go get lunch. I'll meet you in a minute. Both can see their mother's expression and know not to mess with her. After the three children had gone, Tsume approached the Hokage's desk and grabbed him by the front of his robe, bringing them face to face. Hiruzen's only thought at the time was the size of the hospital bill he'll get if he doesn't confirm what he knows she just figured out, as he also knew Kushina was one of her best friends. Plus, he could see it in her eyes. She didn't care about what might happen to her if she attacked him. That was just how the Inuzuka were, especially when in protection mode. And she was rapidly approaching attack mode. Talking to her would be impossible if that happened. Tsunade, his former student, was the only woman he'd ever met who was scarier than Sume Inuzuka in full rage. Yamanaka Flower Shop, 9:30 a.m. She smiled as she walked to the back room and saw her daughter Ino transplanting flowers into new pots. Those could have waited until tomorrow. I thought we were going shopping, Inoiki stated. Ino smiled as she looked over her shoulder. I know, Mom, but you already know how much I enjoy working in the flower shop. I just wish Naruto would stop teasing me about it and thinking he has a better green thumb than anyone in our family. Both mother and daughter laugh at this. Well, at least I got these done, so let's go shopping and then get some lunch. 20 minutes later. Ino looks at her mother as she walks around the silk kimono looking for new clothes and gossiping. Did I ever tell you, Mom? Remember when Naruto sneaked into the flower arrangement class at the academy? He tried to fool us with a henge, sat next to me, but I knew it was him. The look on his face when I ratted him out was priceless. Inoiki burst out laughing. I think I remember that day. Wasn't it also the day you brought him home and forced him to work in the flower shop because he said the class was a waste of time and served no purpose, and it's also when we discovered Naruto is really good at gardening? If I recall correctly, you came in almost dragging him, and your father chased him around the shop for over an hour because he thought he was going to be your boyfriend, then threatened him by saying that if he ever makes you cry or hurts you, he'll use a family jutsu that'll make him live the rest of his life believing he's a little girl, and he'll have you braid his hair. I also told Naruto that if he ever made fun of flower arrangements again, I'd beat him until. Ino felt a chill run down her spine.
I'm not sure why, but I think he just did that.
When he returns from training, I'm going to see if he did. And if he did, I'm going to make him work in the flower shop for a month straight. Ino stated. It's too bad you never took Naruto as your boyfriend. The two of you would have made a cute couple. Inoiki stated. You know, Mom, I think of Naruto as a brother, just like Shikamaru and Shoji. Ino responded with a bright blush. Inoiki only smiled, despite Ino's blush and body language. Obviously, Ino-chan.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.